think it's stupid when they do that.
They're going to take off.
Some of them going to bomb.
Just like they've bombed in the comics.
What about this guy? You think this guy can make it for the Avengers?
Diamond Days, a ninja teaching flex. Honey, let me see the sign there, honey. Come on in here, ninja. Here's my ninja. Diamond Days Ninja School. Come on down. What we're going to teach you, hold that, darling. What we're going to teach you in our first episode is a proper stance and a proper kung fu. And you got your Judy chop, all right? You got your karate chop, and you got your ninja chop. Now, what smart thing to do is like when you use a judo chopping, you gotta say it, you know, for you beginners, you know, like a Judy chop. Because what you don't want to do is like be a Judy chopping and a kung fu kicking, and there goes your leg, you know, like.
There you go, Cyber. There goes your leg. There's a little nostalgia for you.
Thank you for that nostalgia, sir. Judy Chop Man is the past. Him and me go back, way back. We're best friends. We used to hang out together as kids. I taught him some of those moves, so don't forget that, people. You know, I taught him some of those moves, so he had the Judy Chop from me. Anyways, welcome live Wednesday night for the first time in quite a while, folks. The MCU'S Leading Edge. We've taken a few weeks off since our last Wednesday show, so welcome back. And we're here to discuss the first 3 episodes of the MCU'S Ironheart TV series. Now, this show has been in developmental hell since, I would say, 2022, I believe it was, when they first started talking about it. Because this actually was somewhat shot right after the actress that plays Riri Williams was doing Wakanda Forever. So technically, a lot of what we're seeing here is actually a few years old, with some reshoots in the last couple years. But yeah, we're going to be talking about these first 3 episodes that dropped yesterday. And, you know, I think that this series, it went to shit again. How about that?
Cyber, you might want to drop, maybe even drop in and drop out or something.
No. Hold on, let me just disconnect it.
There you go.
All right, is that better?
Yes, sir. Great job.
Okay.
Excellent fix.
There you go. Now, shut the hell up and let me talk. Anyways, I just want to know, kind of going into this, guys, what are your guys' thoughts? We're going to get right into the gate here. What are your guys' thoughts going into this Ironheart stuff? Like, was this something that you were looking for? Was this something that, you know, that you really wanted to see from an MCU TV show, especially since this is supposedly the last of Phase 5, and also supposedly the second to last, of course, TV show that Marvel's going to be producing, because, of course, when Vision Quest comes out, will supposedly be the final show. So is that something that you were looking forward to? Is that something you wanted to see, especially since the character had a little bit of screen time in Wakanda Forever? But, of course, first we have to introduce everyone before we get into that question. Of course, you know, we have Mr. Andres, the pop culture guy, with us tonight. How we doing, Andres?
Very good. Very excited to be back here with seeing you, Saber, and our 2 great hosts here, guests. So, yeah, very excited to talk about the show.
Excellent. And then, of course, we have Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge in the house, coming in, our lucky other co-host of the MCU'S Legion. How we doing, Jeff?
I'm fabulous, sir. It's good to be back in action on Wednesday night. Our original show night. It's very nostalgic to be live on Wednesday night.
Yes, it is. Especially since we started off on Wednesday nights, starting off with weekly shows on Wednesdays, and eventually we went into several others, of course. So yes, that's always very nostalgic, especially we started off with WandaVision, of course, and here we are doing Ironheart. Anyways, we have 2 new panelists here tonight with us on the panel for the first time. Of course, we have Michael from the Real Table Podcast. Welcome, Michael. How we doing?
Doing good. Thank you for inviting me on here.
Excellent. Great to have you. And then we also have, as a new guest, Mr. Jack from the Alter Ego podcast. How are we doing, Jack?
How's everybody doing? Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Awesome. Love the great collection of Funkos behind you there, sir. Looks really cool.
Thank
And
you.
of course, I like what Michael's got going on there too. I like the little movie sign back there. I see that's really cool too. So yeah, nice backgrounds, fellas. Great job.
Thanks.
Anyway,
Appreciate
so getting back to my question, were you guys looking for an Ironheart TV series? And I'll start with you, pop culture guy.
Oh God. Oh man, this is I guess not really. Well, not really, but then I kind of understand why they did it. Like, you have to understand they're trying to build the champions team. You know, if you don't know, that's their version of the Young Avengers. And this week I was doing my research on the show and the character, and I remembered that she was in the lineup. So okay, like, right, it makes sense they had to do it if she was going to be in the lineup. Whenever we get this champion project, that's the thing. It's weird, but in all honestly, we didn't need this character show. I'm one of the few in this panel that I like Wakanda Forever as a emotional movie, but at the same time, I agree with everyone that Riri was not necessary for the plot. Like, she didn't need to be in Wakanda Forever. There was just too much going on forever. Like that, and then the whole Val thing was so stupid. Like, I don't know why we needed Val there. So I agree with everyone that we didn't need Ironheart in Wakanda Forever, really. And I just felt like, you know, doing a spin-off of her character, it was like, okay, but you know, so I was not excited. But seeing the 3 episodes, there's some good potential, but we'll get into that later.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. Now I'll go over to you, Michael. Were you looking for an Ironheart TV series?
I guess a yes and a no. Like, I don't know. I would say a series. I think I was interested in this character as the MCU is expanding. You know, back in 5 years ago when it started to expand even more after the whole Infinity Saga, I think I was interested in the idea of this character showing up. But I think I've hit like this TV show fatigue where I'm kind of just done with all the shows. But like I tell people all the time, I've been here since the very first Iron Man, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna ride this, even if the movie is very mediocre. So no, I didn't need this show, but so far I'm very intrigued with where this is going. So yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Going over to you, Jeff. Were you looking for an Ironheart show or anything Ironheart-ish?
Fuck no. I did not fucking ever ponder at any point in my MCU fandom career or whatever. I've never pined. Oh man, I want to see an Ironheart Disney Plus TV show. There's other characters I'd rather see them do a Disney Plus TV show with personally. I don't know. I'm not sure if her edition of Wakanda Forever was too much, or something like that. Like Andre said, I don't know. That whole movie was kind of fucked up, kind of fucked. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just her. You know what I mean? Just to be fair, you know what I mean? Overall, that movie just wasn't really very, very great. Especially in comparison to the first Black Panther film. But she didn't really do a lot to impress me in Wakanda Forever at all. No, I certainly. I'm always optimistic when it comes to these Marvel Disney Plus TV series. When I go into them, I always try to go in with an open mind. No matter what, clean the slate and all that. No matter what I've seen, with other Marvel Disney Plus stuff in the past, like Michael alluded to. like I wasn't like, like begging for a Miss Marvel television show, and Miss Marvel ended up being really fucking good, like a lot of fun to review, like episodically, like it was a blast. Cyber, I really enjoyed it, and thought that it was a really good TV show. Like for what it was very high end, if you could say that, and obviously it's been rewarded on like Rotten Tomatoes, for instance, for being high quality it is. I don't know if Ironheart really fits into that category after watching the first 3 episodes. This show is like lacking a lot more than it has working for it, overall, I think. And we'll talk about that obviously, but no, I definitely, there's other stuff they could have done. Like there's second seasons for other shows, other existing shows they've done on Disney Plus, right? For instance, I would love to see like the Hawkeye second season that we were supposed to, potentially get. I would have rather seen that like made than like Ironheart, to be honest with you. I don't know why they felt like they had to reach so far, coming off Wakanda Forever, that they had to make this show, to be honest with you. I don't know what they were, why they felt they had to do it. I don't know how much this show cost, but I'm sure it wasn't cheap, because the Marvel, Disney never spares any expense when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I'm sure it was probably a pretty expensive production, and they sat on it for 2 years. So what does that tell you about what they thought of the show? Now they're dropping it in 2 nights. So yeah, that's pretty much it, sir.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right, going over to you, Jack. Were you looking for an Ironheart show or anything Ironheart?
Just to echo Michael's sentiment, I've been here since Iron Man came out. I think, I've been along for the ride for so long. And at this point, I'm not looking for anybody in particular because, Marvel's the one thing that I'm wanting them to do is further the story. Let's get something that's going to contribute to the overall phases and things like that. And I say this a lot, is that, we didn't know how important certain things were in phase 1 when you were meeting Captain America and Iron Man and Thor, that ended up paying off way down the road. So I don't really know what to think currently about Ironheart. Again, as a character, I wasn't not looking for her either. I mean, I feel like she was handled in a different way than I would have gone for Wakanda Forever. Again, I don't think she was necessary to the plot, but I think she's a very charismatic character and somebody who has that tech side to her. So I think they're trying to, like you said, Andres, is put her in the Young Avengers. And I think she would be a much needed addition there. And without just dropping her in there with no backstory, no character development, maybe this show is meant to develop her before she gets to that show. So then there's more for her to add when she shows up for Young Avengers. So no, I can't say I was necessarily looking forward to Ironheart, but Marvel also does this thing where, they take certain characters and instead of telling a story about the character, they use that character to get from point A to point B. And I'm just in this point right now saying, okay, so what's point B? And I don't know if this show even really knows what point A is, but either way, it's been entertaining. So to answer the question, no, I wasn't looking for it, but I wasn't not looking for it either.
That's a good point, Jack.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Yeah. I feel a lot of us out there, Ironheart really wasn't necessarily a character we were looking for to have their entire whole show for them, but we're definitely looking for them to be introduced into the MCU, most definitely, to see that character. Kind of like there's a whole bunch of other, characters out there that a lot of people have been wanting to see in the MCU, that, X-Men variety and so forth, and finally we got the rights back to that. And then, of course, there's other villains we haven't seen yet that we want to see. So, so I'm sure it's one of those characters that would be interesting to see down the road. But I don't think it was necessarily something that everyone was looking for at this particular point, especially after such a great climactic ending to Iron Man himself. So, it's only been 6 years since Iron Man sacrificed himself. And so it's kind of like, do I really want another Iron Man yet? We got War Machine still, and so forth. So it's kind of, one of those things like, But yeah, I totally agree with everyone across the board. Yeah, it's definitely it's a hit or miss kind of deal there, where it's something you would like to see, but it wasn't necessarily in this type of form. All right, so the 3 episodes we will be discussing tonight are Episode 1, Take Me Home. Episode 2, Will the Real Natalie Please Stand Up? And 3, We in Danger, Girl. Now, I feel that episode title totally is exactly what this show is about. So I think that that it's definitely got a certain flavor, certain type of genre to it, and definitely it has a very distinct feel to it. And I think that the show's creator definitely wanted to bring that in, that Chiaka Hodge, or however you want to say it. Maybe it's Shinika Hodge. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong, folks out there. But she definitely, I felt, was definitely bringing in kind of her upbringing, and definitely put that into the show. I just felt like, especially coming from Oakland, California, that definitely is very Chicago-like. So I think that she definitely brought some interesting takes into the show. So Sam Bailey directed the first 3 episodes. Then the last 3 episodes will be directed by Angela Barnes. So I thought it was kind of interesting that, all 6 episodes, 3 half and half, is directed by one single individual. And I thought that was kind of interesting that they decided to do it that way. I think that, for the most part, the director did a pretty decent job. They, got a very condensed amount of, information into each of these episodes. And I feel these episodes weren't too, weren't super short, and they weren't super long. I felt they actually, some of them kind of felt faster than what they should have felt. So I think they got very compact in them in a few of these episodes, I felt. All right. So, of course, we have returning for Wakanda Forever, Dominique Thorne playing Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart. And then we got a plethora of other people coming in here. Manny Montana, Lyric Ross. Of course, we have the awesome Eric Andre in this, who I absolutely love. I think he's hilarious. I think he does a great job. I think he was a great addition to the show, even though it was very short-lived, but still, I think it's funny. I think Alden Ehrenreich is hilarious, too, in this series. But my favorite character so far is the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos. I really like Anthony Ramos, and he is absolutely awesome. I think he's a very underrated actor that is just really fun in anything I've seen him in. He plays all kinds of different parts, and I'm enjoying him as the Hood. All right, so starting off with episode 1, Take Me Home Tonight. Basically, the episode starts off over at MIT. We get kind of a brief kind of reintroduction to Riri, from when we last saw her in Wakanda Forever. After her internship in Wakanda, she comes back to MIT and basically, it keeps getting into trouble. And basically, her grant for another year is denied. And then basically she ends up getting expelled too as well, along with having her grant denied to her. So she decides to go back home, which is in Chicago. So I think that, the fact that supposedly they feel like she plagiarized Iron Man by her suit, which it is plagiarization. Really, if you think about it, it looks like Iron Man. But I think that's absolutely hilarious that they expel her right at the beginning of this episode, and that kind of cracked me up. I was like, wow, that's a quick way to get her back to Chicago. Then Riri takes off in her new suit to head back to Chicago, and while that's happening, we're introduced to the Hood and his crew, and they're doing a heist, and they see her flying over and decide they need that suit for their next heist, and we'll stop at that point of the episode. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on kind of that introduction, the MIT stuff, the expulsion, the first heist with the Hood crew, as I like to call them. And what are your thoughts, guys, on that beginning section? What did you think about it? Anything you like to mention about it? And just overall, your kind of thoughts on the beginning start of this series and this first episode. And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I really don't like the girl boy, like stereotypical girl boy weirdo, like, you know, kind of weirdo black character that's like a member of the Hood's gang or whatever. I just want to put that out there right off the bat. Like, I wouldn't want that person in my like crew, you know, like, just because I would think it would be somewhat like you know, kind of off-putting, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, personally, you know what I mean? So I don't know why they have to insert characters like that into these shows. They're like, I don't know. The whole like you know, what I'm trying to think of what the word is, like what the name is for that kind of character. The whole like you know, question of sexual, you know, like, you know, gender deal or whatever. Like, I just don't care for it. You know, personally, I think it's fucking whack and like weird. So I just had to put that out there. But yeah, I mean, you know, the introduction to Ironheart is you know, sort of like stereotypical Marvel Disney Plus kind of like overall, like, I guess you could say, you know, the way it flows, you know, and you know, like what goes down with Riri at college and all that is very like, you know, somewhat stereotypical kind of, you know, like, you know, trope kind of like to go with, you know what I mean? But you know, they do it there, you know, right off the bat in the show, and, you know, they cut her off financially, you know, and all that basically. Right. And, yeah, you know, it's like, okay, you know, like it's an all right introduction for the character, you know, and like sort of explains, you know, the reasoning for why she would like make the decision to go work for the Hood, you know, and puts them together right off the bat, you know, connects them, you know what I mean, in the show, which is good because you got to get that done, right? So that's, you know, that like works, you know, her like just, you know, going on a test flight or whatever, you know, of her armor that like falls apart. I was kind of like shocked by like how she was able to land and not be injured, you know, like it seemed like that fall would be like pretty nasty. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I would think that like, you know, like hitting the ground, hitting the fucking concrete, like with like half the armor falling off, you know, that she'd be fucked up, but like she just bounced right back, you know? So, hey, good for her. Right. You know, but, that was kind of weird. I didn't know what to think about that. I would have thought she would at least like, you know, be fucking digged up, you know, after that drop. I mean, she fell on the street. So, yeah. I mean, I can't really get too far because we're only talking about the introduction of the episode, you know? So, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of, the actress Dominique Thorne or whatever that plays Riri Williams. I'm not really a massive fan of hers. You know, I don't know. You guys could, you know, have your own opinions, and I'll listen to them. You know, I don't know how well she really like carries this show. If she's really the kind of character, or you know, or what, you know, that you want to build a show off of. You know. But that's it pretty much, Cyber.
Okie dokie. Thank you, sir. Great job. All right. Going over to you, Jack, sir. What are your thoughts on the beginning of the episode?
I mean, I really think they were trying to get a sense of the world that they were in, but there were a lot of things that were kind of confusing to me. Especially with Ryan Coogler being the executive producer of the show. And of course, he's the director of Black Panther and then Wakanda Forever, and her introduction to the Wakandans and them kind of giving her sovereignty in their nation and protecting her. And of course, the end of the first Black Panther was, may he rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, talking about outreach to children who had opportunities and things like that. I felt like she would have been a perfect example to be somebody to benefit from that Wakandan generosity towards somebody who's an inventor, who's clearly genius and spent a lot of time in the country. So her being a Stark Fellowship at MIT didn't really make sense because she seemed to have already kind of eclipsed that when she was in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So to see her in the dean's office at MIT, to me, it just felt like it just needed to be a story plot. We wanted her to be here. We needed to get from point A to point B. So let's just stick her at MIT. And by the way, I loved my boy from Community, the dean, in that. I just love when those guys take an appearance in any of the Marvel stuff. But I felt it was very ham-handed to have her be at MIT and leave the way that she did. But going to Red Hood's crew, or not Red Hood, sorry, wrong universe. The Hood's crew. I felt they were very just thrown on screen. I didn't know why I should care about those people, why I should care about what they were doing. And to be honest, it just didn't seem believable to me that these, young kids are walking into these heavily guarded places. When they're armed guards with guns that probably know what they're doing, and these young ladies are going to walk in and just start roundhouse kicking people in the face. I mean, this isn't a Chuck Norris movie. What are we doing? I'd like to see a little bit more capable henchmen. I know we're living in a world of fantasy, right? We're living in a world where Captain America picked up Mjolnir and fought Thanos. I get that there's some level of fantasy to it, but in the same breath, if you want me to care about these people that are doing these heists, you need to let me know why they're there, why I should care, and then why I should care about this crew. And I never found myself caring about their background as a supporting cast. Now, I disagree with Jeff. I think Riri is the star player. I think she has the best emotional depth of all of the cast in terms of what her character goes through and what she's been in that first little bit. I think it's, again, ham-handed in how they introduce her and from where we last left her off. But in terms of a leading lady for what this show has in cast, I think she's the best one that they've got so far. Now, I know Ramos is a big time actor. He's been in other productions and things like that, but I don't think he has had a lot to do other than be on screen and say, we need her. Okay, we need to go here. Okay, we want to do this. And to me, it was like, all right, let's get some meat on this bone. And in those first little bits, I was kind of like, okay, I see where we're going, but they didn't grip me. Like when you take a look at WandaVision, when you first start that off, they're in black and white, living in this, fantastic universe. And you're kind of like, why in the world are they there? You're already invested. Loki, he drops out of the sky with the Tesseract. The TVA comes and picks him up. The ball is moving from Jump Street. So I think Ironheart is struggling to get off the ground and not giving me characters to care about until you get Riri on screen and you start seeing the people that she's connected with.
Okay, thank you. All right, going over to you, pop culture guy. What are your thoughts, sir, on the beginning?
It was okay. I mean, it was just typical, like just catching up where we left off with Riri. And first, it was really great to see the Dean from Captain America: Civil War coming back. So that was a great payoff. And I like the actress Dominique Thrawn, like playing Riri. She's a great. I saw her in the film Judas and the Black Messiah, great film that got the other Black Panther actor from Get Out that got his Oscar. So it was she was great in there. And for here, like, I don't know, like the beginning part, I was like, okay, I kind of like what we're doing here. I like what we're doing with the friend and dad, something happened, like I'm very intrigued in that. When we get to later, I question a couple of those parts. But yeah, and the Hood, I mean, I love what's his name? Anthony Ramos, because the thing about the Hood is that he has a present, because like really has present, but for me, I'm hooked with the Hood already, because I like how they're presenting his character. First off, for me as an Iron Man fan, it's great to see technology versus magic. That's something we didn't get in the Iron Man trilogy, because everything in the Iron Man trilogy was, at the time grounded in reality before, the Avengers became, able the other franchise to be more comic book. So I'm very excited to see the Hood and see what the Ironheart character will deal with, because he's I mean, you read the comics, he's kind of OP, and so I'm very curious how she's gonna use the technology, how to defeat him, and I'm just intrigued, they haven't get us yet how he got the Hood, or what was the situation. I relate to what he's trying to do already, but at the same time, just like any classic villain, he also has this agenda that the team doesn't know. So it already makes him very interesting as a villain. So already he's becoming a very interesting villain, which I like, because that's the problem with all the Disney Plus shows. We have very lackluster villains, and same thing with the movies too. Of course, I mean, since Iron Man, there's some good ones, some great ones we have, but most of the time we always have lackluster villains. So I think the Hood is in the right direction of industry, and I'm curious where we're gonna take him. But oh my god, I agree with Jeff. The game, I mean, I get he's trying to do taking down these corporations. He needs some people, but if you're gonna do that, I kind of wish the game was more supernatural. It's kind of weird. We got these people that is all about they're the typical heist group. It'd be kind of interesting that the group was supernatural, and then the show is more interesting because you got this game that is a little more supernatural, and it's not this typical heisting, because it's just weird. My issue right now is just the tone of the show. Okay, you got this high grounded show that's reminiscent of Creed, some of the stuff from Ryan Coogler stuff, right? But then you get the supernatural stuff, which I mean, I cannot compare it to Sinners, because that just came out this year. It's that's not, so much of it is just a little confusing for me in terms of the tone. And so I'm very curious how they're gonna level the tone here, because right now it's just all over the place in this first episode in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, the guy from that comedian, was it Rampage, Eric? I mean, I'm not a big fan of his stuff, but he is funny when he's funny, and I was surprised how wasted he was in this episode. I was like, wow, he's this minor character. They could have done something with him, and no, just why do you need this famous actor for this one episode? It was so weird. But yeah, from this beginning, I was like, okay, I'm there, but I'm okay, just get to the point. What was the main drive for this show? And so I'm, we'll get into it more in the next 2 episodes.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Pop Culture Guy, Mr. Tom Cop. All right, going over to you, Michael. Same question, sir. Your thoughts on the beginning of the episode?
Yeah, I think the beginning of the episode, it's fine. I think it's kind of poorly paced, and I think because the runtime for this episode is only 41 minutes, which is probably the biggest issue I have with these Marvel shows, is the inconsistent runtimes. And I feel like across the board, these episodes should be at least 50 to maybe 60 minutes. And they don't use that time like they should. And so I think this episode really suffers from only just being 41 minutes, and they're trying to squeeze so much in that 41-minute time slot. So it feels really inconsistent pacing-wise. But it was cool to see Riri in the suit and Riri flying, flying from MIT to Chicago. I thought that was cool. It was cool to see that that type of Iron Man suit on screen again, because once we got away from Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, once we got away from those films and Stark started to use that, it was like nanotech, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. His suit started to look different when he started to use that. I started not to like how those suits looked on screen. So it was nice and refreshing to get, the classic kind of suits back into the back on the screen, which was cool. I really like Riri. I think she's a great character, super ambitious. Obviously, we'll get to it, but I think like she's at that age where she's just learning and there's trial and error, kind of like the whole Spider-Man type thing. So she's learning, doing the right things, also doing the wrong things. So it's kind of nice to see that. We see that a little bit with the whole MIT thing. And then the hood is okay so far. I agree with Jack. You know, I need more of him. And I think where we leave off, we'll get to it when we talk about episode 3. I think I'm hoping at least the next few episodes, I'm sure we're going to get just even more of him, which should be really good for the whole show overall. But overall, the first episode was just like, it's okay, but it was, you know, I'm intrigued enough for, you know, I want to keep watching, and yeah, we'll get to the rest of the stuff.
All right. Thank you, sir. Excellent. Good job, Eric. Billion gold stars for everyone. I don't know why I muted myself there for a second. Anyways, excellent job, everyone. Good job, like I said. All right, so I just want to go on record here too. I kind of agree with Jeff on Dominique Thorne. I think she's a little overrated. I don't think she's as great as everyone makes her out to be, as she has been since Wakanda Forever. I think she's okay. I don't think she's horrible. But I definitely think that there could have been, you know, better actresses that could have played Riri Williams. I get kind of the idea of why they probably, you know, casted Dominique as the characters, you know, because she has that very good kind of like very great attitude, like, you know, very Chicago-like and stuff like that. So she does a really good job at playing that. And I think that, you know, she definitely was kind of a smaller stature too. I think her size really played into what they wanted to, because if I remember correctly in the comics, Riri Williams is a very small character. She's a very small person. So I think that also played a little bit into her casting too as well, because she's a really short girl. And I think that she kind of, when you put her up against her, people, you kind of like, is she going to be able to take them out? Is that why she needs the suit? You know, so I think it's kind of funny just how small she is, because I was kind of cracking up, because I was like thinking, I'm like, I mean, even Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, she, you know, she's not very tall, but still I felt she's a little more height wise to the guys. She was a little more taller. So I thought, like, seeing her for the first time, I was kind of cracking up, like she seems a little small. I'm like, I don't know. But anyways, I definitely think that definitely somebody else could have played her a little better, and given us a little bit of a different take on the character. Because if you're a big fan of the comics, I think that, you know, seeing it in live action form, sometimes you can either love it or you hate it. If you're not familiar with the comics, I'm sure you can automatically just love it. Even though I'm not super familiar with the comics, I still feel that what I have seen from the comics, what I've researched, I feel that it just isn't feeling, I don't feel the connection between the two from the comics to the live action form. So I just think that it could have been, I don't know if it's the actress herself or the or writing or what, but I just feel like she is not playing off the character as well as she could be. So I have to go on the limb here with Jeff and be like, yeah, I don't think she's as good as they're making her out to be, unfortunately. But otherwise, she's okay. All right.
Can I jump in just quickly?
Never.
Okay, sorry.
Time cop.
No worries. Not going to be 60 minutes. It'll be 3 minutes quick.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, no. It's funny you brought up, you know, the actress, because apparently this is something I read in the article when Wakanda Forever came out. She was initially auditioned to be in Shuri, and so, but she didn't get the role. And when the sequel was getting made, they were thinking of her in her mind. That's why she got the role, because they had her in mind if, you know, it was any potential role. So that's why she got this role. So that's just a thing I just want to bring up, because that's something that's I was kind of surprised they thought she was good for this one role. I agree with Cyber. I don't think she's, I mean, and it's just also the suit. like the suit in the comic books is skinny. It's not this big bulky thing. Like I get they're trying to maybe like homage the Mark One, but like after that, she's just like similar to Tony. It's like a very skinny suit. But that's all I have to say before I go into 60 minutes. So hopefully that's 30.
Oh, okay, okay. It was you were barely there. You were like 59.
No,
Sure, you're almost there. You're almost there. No.
oh my god.
Anyways, thank you for that information, sure. That's awesome to know. Thank you. Great job. All right. So getting back to the episode. All right. So where we left off, about basically, like I said, they see her flying over. The Hood thinks, hey, we need that suit for our next heist. So that's when we have basically get introduced to Riri's mom and her friend. And we also get introduced to Xavier, who is the brother of Natalie's friend that was killed. And then we get kind of introduced to this shop guy that she goes to see the next day to, I think she's trying to pay something off or trying to get an extension on something she bought from him. And then that's when John shows up and pays off her debt so that she comes, to this kind of almost like interview process, as you call it. She ends up going to where John gives her the card for it, and she gets into this elevator, and then all of a sudden this is kind of where the trailer really shows us, kind of the big thing. And she's in an elevator, and basically all of a sudden it starts filling up with smoke, and she's got to figure out a way to defuse the bomb. And so then we see the great Riri Williams and kind of her great thinking process, and she's able to, rip open the door and everything without having to defuse without the bomb going off. And so basically the Hood is impressed with that show, thinking, oh, but that's really impressive. I would love you to join our gang and help us, do these heists. And, he basically kind of gives her the rundown a little bit of, what they do. And, she at first is kind of reluctant to, say yes at first. And she wants to get out of there after, this whole death trap thing. And basically the Hood's able to kind of talk her into giving it a try out and basically to help them out with the heist. So after she narrowly escapes, like I said, she initially denies the offer to join their next 3 heists. She relents when Robbins offers financial compensation. So we'll stop there, basically with that, because I think that's a good portion of the episode too. And I think this is where the episode, personally for myself, I thought was very entertaining. Each of these episodes for myself, I felt there were some entertaining components to them, but overall I felt like, it definitely wasn't the greatest series that they, put out. I mean, I definitely do feel this is better than Secret Invasion, but, or 100% better than freaking Echo. But I think definitely it has some okay components to it. Visually, it's really done well, I thought, too. So I think this is a really great sequence. I like the elevator thing, her, doing her thing and being able to prop herself out of there and stuff like that. That was really cool. And once again, having Anthony Ramos come in and play in the Hood, I've been enjoying him very much, even though, as some have mentioned, it's a very small kind of role and it's not been very, and especially in this first episode anyway, it's not very big on words. I still think he presents it very well. So what are you guys' thoughts on that leading up to her accepting to go with him on some heist, and just kind of your overall thoughts kind of on that portion of the episode. This time I'll start with you, Andres.
Sorry, technical difficulties. This part was where I think the episode picked up for me. Like, I think just the moving plots of the heist and the Hood talking to Riri. I think that's where I feel like the show got better, is when those two were together, because, I mean, the MCU, they never have the villain interact with the hero sometimes. Like, that's always the annoying thing with the MCU. That's why Loki works, because it's always fun to see Loki interact with Thor, because, they're brothers. Or the same thing with the first Black Panther movie, with Killmonger and T'Challa. So I like that, our villain is interacting our hero. and like you can see they have, you know, similar but very different worldviews. You know what's they're talking about in the show, and I like her friend Xavier. He's a character from the comic books. And it's very different from the comic books. I think he is really neat, especially because he knows her former best friend, who's I mean dead. You know, as this episode kind of confirmed that. You know, he was close to her and Riri, so I like that this character's there to kind of form some sort of background information we need to know about Riri. Plus the mom, we have. I actually like the mom. I thought she's very funny. When when she's with the other ladies, we got that crazy lady with the saying songs. It's like, oh, here I'm just bringing whatever, like that black, crystal thing. I thought that was very funny. And I think she's a decent, parent. I don't have a problem with her. Yeah, and then her going to the chop shop is, you can see her, very much like a Tony Stark, trying to, building everything from scrap, and and that's, it's very unique to see these kind of people to like not having the kind of resources like Iron Man and take these parts from other things. So it's always cool to see that. And what is it? Is it help me out here? John is like a friend of the Hood or a cousin, right? Cousin, thank you. Okay, because I like him too. He's another interesting character. I think he's great in the first 3 episodes, and just I like that kind of like henchman, but like family, partner that the Hood has, and it just adds some humanity to his character. That's like another aspect it's very intriguing about the Hood. Is like he has this, family is working with him with the heist, and because he helped him out with a I think that he was in trouble with, or with the background of the Hood. So like all this was like picking up. Like this is where the pacing was good, because I agree with Michael. Like the first part is always quick for some reason. They never like take their time to like establish their show right away. It's always like, okay, we need to get like it was almost like the Arrowverse when the Arrowverse always did their pliers. It was always like, all right, we want to skim through the origin story of our superheroes, and it's like, okay, here's the main storyline throughout the first season, and that's what it is for this like episode. It's like, okay, we want to get rid of all the setup of despite we had her in the sequel for Black Panther. It's like we need to remind people like, where is she, who is she, and this middle part section that we're discussing, it's like this is where the show is really about. And so that's where I got hooked up. And another last thing to wrap up, the special effects. Another big problem with these Disney Plus shows, the special effects are always inconsistent. And so far from the first 2 episodes, not spoil, I like the special effects. They're consistent. They're good so far. That's one thing at least I appreciate. I guess the push. I don't know. The waiting that long to at least make the special effects quality wise. At least I'm happy about that, because oh my god, when Cyber brought up the worst shows like Secret Invasion and like Echo, like their effects were really bad. Especially Secret Invasion. Like, oh my god, Gia's like Super Scroll stuff was so bad. I was so happy to see like the armor. Like I agree with Michael. I like the old fashioned like Iron Man armor. I was so happy to see like the old fashioned way, and everything looked great. I like when her armor fall apart. It was like almost like a movie. Like it felt cinematic. So at least I appreciate that. So I like this section. It's much better than the first half, and this is where the show gets really interesting moving forward.
All right, excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right, going over to you, Michael. Your thoughts, sir, on that part of the episode?
I thought that was probably the most interesting part of like the whole episode. This is kind of like the moment where it feels like the story starts to get interesting and things start to develop, and we kind of understand a little bit of what they want to do with the show with adding in these newer characters. I loved watching her kind of navigate that whole elevator situation, which we already saw from a clip that was released already before. But I also thought it was interesting, like through the whole like the negotiation thing of the pay and stuff like that, the compensation. She was like, "No, I'm not gonna do it," but then she said, "Yes, I'm gonna do it," and it's just goes to show like this is kind of like that never-ending battle for Riri, which is like, I mean, she got expelled to begin with, and so now she's getting herself caught up in another situation. Which I get it. At the end of the day, it's to she wants to have money so she can be iconic, but this creates a whole slew of issues which we see unfold through the next couple episodes. So I thought this section was pretty was pretty interesting, and it was pretty good to watch. But yeah, that's all I got on that.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right, over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts on that portion of the episode?
Well, I don't want to repeat a lot of what's already been said from other contributors, but yeah, the the big highlight of the episode is the elevator scene. Obviously, anytime you add the inclusion of like poisonous gas or whatever, or that kind of element, to something, it's always kind of interesting, so I dug that. I can't really blame her, for wanting to team up with the Hood. I mean, she does need money, to fund her, her shit. And like Michael said, she wants to be iconic and everything, and that does cost money, so I mean, it's not hard to make that decision to to cross that line and go illegal on your shit, I guess, right? So that's pretty believable that she would go that way. Didn't really have a problem with it, I guess her reasoning seems pretty reasonable to me for the most part, but yeah, I mean, the brief touch on her family and all that is really kind of whatever to me, I don't see the mother being like a major pivotal character in the show. She seems okay. They usually do a decent job with the secondary casting in these Disney Plus Marvel shows. So this is no different. The secondary characters are pretty much well played for the most part, at least as far in my opinion. In this episode, they're pretty decent. And one thing I don't care for very much is I feel like I don't want to beat up Riri Williams, but the backstory of the shooting, right, is just kind of not really all that well done for me. It could have, I don't know, it's just kind of played out, so I don't know, but just for me, I don't really like feel anything myself for her story. I don't feel touched by it or like connected by it or anything like that, really, which is okay, I mean, I don't really understand like how old Riri is either, like, is she like 18, 20? Like, how old is Riri? Like that's what I was kind of wondering during the show. I'm like, she's like college age. So is she like 20, 22, 18, if she's like that old, then like, she's probably going to like, honestly, like age herself out of like the Young Avengers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like she's getting older,
Well, if you remember in the beginning of this episode, when she gets expelled, she had a 4-year grant. So, I mean, add 18 to 4 years, that's 22. So she's like 22, 23, I think.
I think she started college at like age 15.
So I don't know, but anyway, yeah. I think she's still like 22, 23.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's something like that too. I'm just saying, I believe that her character went to college at like age 15 or 14 or something like that. She's one of those super geniuses, So, she like, yeah. So, I mean, she could very well be like 18, 19, I don't know. But that's pretty much it for me, sir. I mean, there's not really a lot to talk about with like, this whole deal. The stuff with her and the Hood is okay. The Hood's okay. He's all right with me, He's a good reason to watch the show, One good thing or like, good character to work with, right? That is a little mysterious and stuff like that, but likable, I dig the Hood. I mean, his operation is definitely sus though from jump, like just the whole squad is kind of sus.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good job. All right, going over to you, Jack. Your thoughts, sir, on that section of the episode.
Well, I do agree with Andre. She was going to the chop shop to get more parts for the Ironheart suit that kind of fell apart when she was flying to Chicago. That was a big thing. But her whole thing is, Marvel, when they do these series, they like to have themes throughout the entirety of the series. Like Hawkeye is him trying to heal and get, Kate Bishop to take the mantle and teach her and things like that. This one, I think if I had to give a theme to this show, it's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And she's trying to get her funding. She's trying to get her iron suit off the ground. So more money, more funding. The grant clearly isn't doing enough for her. So she's selling papers to other people. Then she shows up here. Now she doesn't have the grant. She doesn't have the AI that she built in MIT. So she needs serious funding. So when she meets these people, that's kind of an out to her. And she says very succinctly to the Hood, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to kill people. So she's like I said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But the thing that I don't get is she shows up to the restaurant, if you will, and there's nobody there. Okay, great. Doors open. She gets into the elevator. They all of a sudden have poison gas where they all watch her on the camera to see if she can survive and get out of it. That I'm fine with. That's an interesting sequence. It shows her ability to think on the fly and improv while she's in a dangerous situation. So that kind of shows her intelligence. That was good for building that for the character. Then she gets out and finds out that everybody else just got approached with some cash to join the team. They saw the twins fighting and said, here you go. You guys want to be on the team? And the guy, Slug, they came to him and said, hey, we know you're a really big deal in Magic. Here's some money. You should join us. And Slug was about to set somebody's car on fire. And they said, hey, let's bribe you to be on the team. Riri, they suck you in the elevator with poison gas or we're trying to kill you. I'd be like, what the hell is this, guys? Why am I the one who gets the death sentence in order to join the team? You know what I mean? That would have been a little suspect for me. That was just one of those pieces of writing that I really didn't agree with. Now, I would have much preferred them bring her in, have that conversation and say, here's how we want to test you. Nobody's been able to do this. They got Rampage, hasn't been able to do this. Why don't we see if you can do that and challenge her in that way? That would have made, I guess, a little bit more of a good transition to the team. It just felt like it was weird in the writing for them to try to kill her, but not anybody else on the team. So that to me was interesting. That's another reason to me that the crew just doesn't resonate with me at all. Hood, I get it. He's the best actor in the group. He's iconic. He's somebody who has presence on camera. Him, I get. Everybody else just kind of falls flat. I wanted to spend more time with Zay and with Mom and find out a little bit more about Riri and why she is the way that she is and why she thinks the way that she does. I thought the background story for her is interesting. It was shot kind of low budget to me, but this was a really poorly handled sequence for me in terms of Ironheart as a whole.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good highlights. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Anthony Ramos is definitely the big picture person in this group here. Most definitely. I think it's funny that the character Slug is played by a drag queen, Shea Coulee. That was on Drag Race All-Stars and was also in Drag Race Season 9. I think I actually, out of all the people, he's not too bad. He's doing an okay job. I have to give him that. I think he's been pretty interesting playing that character of Slug. Not the greatest acting, but I think he has done an okay job. I was actually surprised. But yeah, when I saw that he was in it, I was like, what? Shea Coulee? I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
I just want to know how he types so fast with those nails on.
I know. I was cracking up at that too. I was like saying, that was the worst typing I've seen on a keyboard ever. I was like, as we were watching it, And I was like, yeah, he wasn't typing. Just like, shh. Like, nah, he wasn't typing. Anyways, thank you, sir. But yeah, hands down, I think I have to agree with a few of you guys. I think this is my favorite portion of this episode, especially the elevator sequence, and then the Hood's bribery of trying to get Riri to come work with them. I think that was really done well too. And the fact that I think one of the reasons why the Hood is kind of, we're not seeing too much of him, is because he's dealing with something else that has to do with his powers. And I think because of that, they kind of want to keep him mysterious. And as we go through these episodes, he gets a little more screen time each episode. So I think that's a part of kind of his character development. And so I have to say that even though we don't get to see him much in this, and it seems pretty like robotic, I believe that is a kind of a tall tale for what's to come of what his character, who he's attached to, and kind of where his powers come from. So I think that it's kind of it's a nice slow burn, I feel, that's working well for it, I think. All right, so to finish off this episode and to get on to next, at home, Riri lashes out at her mother, Ronnie, over the loss of their loved ones. And Ronnie tells her that she has unprocessed grief she has to deal with. Riri's grieving during her brain mapping of her artificial intelligence, and it leads it to being a digital recreation of Natalie, and that's the end of the episode. So what are you guys' thoughts kind of on this final part of the episode? Digital mapping her own brain to create AI, and kind of her, like, kind of the backstory type of thing going on, her dealing with the death of Natalie, and her mother telling her she has grief she needs to deal with, and that's one of her problems. So what are you guys' kind of thoughts on that section? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
I don't know, really. I mean, I guess the concept of the creation of the AI is like something that I guess could have potentially been interesting. I guess I'm not really sure. I don't particularly like it. I don't know that I really care that much that for that character or that actress that plays the character, the AI friend or whatever. Like, it's a very quirky, like very quirky, bizarre kind of like direction to go in. And I mean, I think maybe if they would have added a supernatural element, like, since the Hood has the supernatural, thing going, you know what I mean? Like, if they would have added a supernatural element for me in the audience, like, I would have liked it more, like it would have hit harder, like, for me, if it had not been just an AI, if it had been like an AI, but also like, acts so much like like an actual representation of the friend, because it's supernatural, it's like, something having to do with hell, or, I don't know, since we're supposed to, the Hood has all that going on, right? So, yeah, like, if they would have done like something like that, I think I might have been able to digest it better, the AI friend that's like, the copy of the best friend that's dead. Just a very bizarre direction to go in, to commit, like, for that kind of character like that, and it's kind of just odd. I mean, to be honest with you, they went that direction, yeah, it's a very interesting way to end the episode without question, but really raises a lot of questions at that time, because you're like, holy shit, like, why is that happening? Like, but they brought, like, she came back from the dead, I thought it looked kind of cool when she first was like, like seeing the AI, with like the screen lens sort of like, like going on, on screen, like, on in the scene. Occasionally I like that touch, but overall, I mean, it's just not, I'm not a big fan of that addition to the show. The AI mimicking the best friend is not, not a big hit for me, personally. Besides that, that's pretty much all I got for the end of that episode, sir.
Nothing on the mother conversation.
With the AI?
No, the mother conversation with Riri.
Oh, no, I didn't really care. I mean, it was whatever to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, other people might have things to say about it, but I just, I'm not super like invested into like Riri's family really. So into the show, at least so far. Maybe that'll change, but at least in episode 1, I just wasn't super invested into that relationship to where I was really all that, to any that to where I took anything from that conversation. You know what I mean? It felt pretty like played out, like pretty typical. So that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Going over to you, Jack. Your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion of episode 1.
I'm just going to echo what Andres is saying in the chat here, because obviously in the comics, the AI who supports Riri is Tony Stark. And there's no way that they can afford to have Robert Downey Jr. be the AI for Riri Williams. I thought this was a good pivot for them to have somebody accompany her. It adds depth to her character, I felt. I do want to know how she's able to do a brain mapping AI with nothing but a circuit breaker and a laptop and a couple of panels to go on her temples there. That is some serious hardware. I'd love to know how she did that. But that's another nod to the writing that I think is like, okay, so we're going to have her in her apartment in Chicago and just hook up to the circuit breaker. And all of a sudden she's got this all powerful AI that's been written in code that she didn't sit there and write. So I'm okay with skipping over some of the technological stuff. I like hearing when Riri's with her family because it gives you more depth to her character. It lets you know, so her coming back and lashing out at mom, and mom's like, what are you talking about? You haven't been here. You've been in Wakanda. You've been at MIT. You have no idea what's happening here in Chicago. So I think it shows that she's kind of disconnected from the world around her in more ways than one, right? So not only is she just throwing herself into her suit, her work, and her vision to be iconic, but she's kind of lost connection with the city, with her family and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of puts you in the shoes of where she is. And then it comes full circle. So mentally she's sitting there and she's kind of burnt out in the chair because she's accepted this job. She's out of IT. She's finally flown back to Chicago and drifts to sleep as this thing maps her brain. So subconsciously it goes back to her relationship with her best friend. So the AI kind of maps that and brings the best friend right in front of her, which comes as a shock to her, of course. But as far as that goes, I thought it was a good connection because you're not going to get Tony Stark and you want to have something that's going to be meaningful and not something that's old hat, right? You don't want just another AI to pop up and go, yes, Riri, what can I do? You know what I mean? Because that's been played out. We had Jarvis, then we had Friday. We've had other AIs that have just been non-starters as characters. Jarvis was probably the closest to being a good AI character, but this young lady, I think, adds a really good edge to not only the character, but to the AI itself, to be built up not just of code and the ability to do task 1, task 2, but since she was mapped with the memories of Riri, she's almost like her own person. So she's almost the closest thing to artificial intelligence since Vision or Ultron. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she accidentally did that with a circuit breaker and a laptop, but here we are. I thought that was pretty compelling.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. Going over to you, pop culture guy. Your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion of the episode.
I thought the conclusion was, good, decent, nothing like amazing. I gotta say, they're just two things. The whole like PST, like the trauma that we're getting to know Riri with her friend and her stepdad. Let me be very clear. Her stepdad is very interesting. It's similar to Iron Man and Iron Man 3. I just brought up in the chat. But my issue with it, well, there's two issues. We're talking about how conveniently, like efficient she's getting the AI of her friend. like accidentally in her suit, but the whole story of her having this trauma doesn't make sense, because first off, it totally contradicts and like doesn't make sense in her appearance in Wakanda Forever. I get it wasn't her movie, or like she was a supporting character. Like we got bits of her story about her dad, but if you're having this trauma, like we needed to have that set up early, like right there in that movie, to like make sense why she's at this moment. Because when I first see her, because I mean, unfortunately, it took so long to get the show. This is right after Wakanda Forever, so I am a little weird. Like it's just a very convenient thing to have your hero like having this trauma, you know, very similar to Iron Man, but it's just not organic and real to me. As Tony, when Tony was dealing with his PST, you know, in Iron Man 3, it was believable because this guy was dealing with terrorists and men in suits, and then the Avengers, he was literally dealing with a god and hundreds of aliens. Like, I totally get why Tony was so paranoid and like had those like anxiety attacks. And here it's like where do we get this? Like, where do we get to this point? Like you know, I guess, you know, it is a real thing, you know, that, you know, in life, that, you know, in that situation where Riri lives, you know, it does happen. But like, I just felt like it just came out of nowhere. And why you needed her friend and her stepdad to be dead, you know, like that's another thing. It's just like, I'd be totally fine if her friend was just there, you know, to just emotionally be the you know, through point about the whole series. And that's another thing I don't like. It's so predictable, storytelling 101. Like, I know, like, you know, it's how you say, it's similar to Jarvis in Age of Ultron. Like, oh, we're gonna lose this very like how to say, it was similar to Quicksilver. Like, Joss Whedon was so like under our nose so much that, oh, he was telegraphing that Quicksilver is going to die, like in the film, if you pay attention to that. And here, I just know that, you know, Natalie, the AI, is going to like help like get how you say, Riri out of her trauma, just like how Harley in Iron Man 3 got out of Tony's trauma in that movie. But where at least I believe how Harley made Tony to like overcome his anxiety, here is so predictable. It's like, of course, you know, the AI friend is going to help her get through this trauma, and then the situation with the hood, and then the end, there's going to be this dramatic thing, like she will probably be deleted, just like how Jarvis was killed from Ultron. So like, that whole part is like so unnecessary storytelling, and it's like, it's so clumsy, and I just think, why do we need that, you know? And it's not as good as the Iron Man 3. It's like, you cannot do that, you know. You have to set it up before you did that. That's my problem with that. That's why I like the Hood, because the Hood storyline is clean, it's straightforward. I get what he's trying to do here. And Cyber brought it before, is also like a horror thing. It's mystery. I like it, it's getting me like, okay, let's like, we know that maybe Mephisto is going to be in the show. So like, I like how they're setting up the potential of the supernatural thing with the Hood. So that's my big problem with this whole ending with the AI thing. I get it's from the comic books. I don't mind the idea of the friend being AI, but it's just too like obvious storytelling. And plus, like, how the hell like she get the whole technology? I know she took like 2 pieces from her college before she got suspended, but like, you need more power to like put the fucking AI, right? And pardon my French. So that's all I have to say. It was okay. That's the one thing that just drives me is like, and also I like the thing I like.
Pardon my French.
Yes, pardon my French. If you
Oui.
if you see Tremors, you understand what I'm referring to. But anyway, the thing that I like about Jarvis and Karen from Homecoming, they have personality, and they were not like this over the top like personalities. Like, they were funny because they were straightforward to the wisecracking hero, or like the naive hero like Peter. Here, she's just like so like bubbling and like very hyper personality. I'm like, wow, she's very like self-aware AI, and like I guess she's from the mind, but like how powerful was the technology had to like do that? There's a lot of questions I have there, but so yeah, the ending is okay. I mean, I'm for just the Hood storyline. Here's like, I don't know about the storyline here with the AI and stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. Take us out, Mr. Michael, with your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion.
I thought it was a solid conclusion. I don't like that so far. Like when we see Riri do her work, she doesn't have her own space. I don't like that she's in the apartment. I think that's just a little weird. But I get it. I think the other, like if she had to go to another space, it would probably be her dad's garage, and I think she can't bring herself to go there. So right now, I guess the best place is the apartment, and that's just what it is. I thought the conversation with the mom, the intentions are there. I don't think it's well executed. I don't like the pacing of it. I feel like it moves too quick. It feels like that could be more of a moment, and it moves just too fast for me overall. And I like Natalie personally. I think it fits Riri too. Overall, I think it fits her character, and it also just shows the progression. Like how Jack said about technology nowadays, and I feel like the progression from where we were, like when we looked at Jarvis and we looked at Friday, and even like Vision from Ultron, like the progression of AI now is just. I feel like this really shows how far the MCU is going with technology and stuff like that, which is cool to see. But I do like Natalie. I think she brings something different for Riri, and obviously her mom kind of alludes to that later on in the show. But yeah, I think it's a solid ending, but I think the whole Natalie thing brings an interesting cliffhanger from episode 1 into episode 2, because now it's like, okay, this gets even more interesting. She has this connection with this person that isn't around anymore, and it turns out that happens to be her AI, which is actually not what she had in mind. So I think that makes the show just a little bit more interesting to see how Riri navigates this. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. So we're going to go around, give a rating for this episode. And for the newcomers, that's what we do. We every episode we give a rating 1 through 10, and so that's pretty much how we do it. I'll start with you, Jack. What would you give it 1 through 10?
Probably like a 6.5.
I said Jack, not Jeff, but okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
I thought I heard it wrong. You're okay.
So you give it a 6.5, Jeff. All right. Okay, Jack.
This is a tale of two episodes. I think it has strong points and really, really bad points. But I'm going to give it a 5.
All right. Andres?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I was surprised how not bad this first episode was. I was worried that this was going to be really dreadful. But the beginning was not strong, but like I was surprised that this episode was like decent. And like I actually had some chuckles, which is good. So yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. It was a decent episode.
All right. Michael?
I think I'll sit around the 6.5 range. It's a fine episode, nothing crazy, nothing special, but it's entertaining enough for me.
Excellent. And I'll give it a 7 as well. I thought it was entertaining enough to keep you not bored and not dumb enough to like absolutely hate it. So I'll give it a 7. All right, so that brings us to episode 2. Will the real Natalie please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Anyways, so basically this episode starts off where Riri meets the Hood's gang as they target TNNL, which aims to turn Chicago's freight tunnels into a private highway at the expense of local communities. They aim to sabotage TNL's demonstration with the virus and lead to a negotiation. However, Riri's suit is not ready, and Natalie, Neuro-Autonomous Technical Assistant Laboratory Intelligence Entity, provides the closest black market arms dealer in the area, being Joe McGillicuddy. So we'll stop there. We'll go any further
Favorite
than that.
name. Favorite name.
McGillicuddy. That's actually, if you watch I Love Lucy, that was Lucy's last name before she married Ricky. Anyways, so what are your guys' thoughts on the beginning of the episode? That kind of whole planning of this first big heist. And of course, we have Riri at the same time here dealing with the fact that her AI is her dead friend. And they kind of have their kind of thing going on a little bit, as she's trying to deal with getting the suit ready for this heist, and then at the same time figuring out what she has to do in this heist and kind of what it's all about. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? And I'll start with you, Michael, first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid opening. Nothing too crazy, nothing too too impressive. It feels like now at this point we're wondering a little bit more where this is going to go after she makes this deal with this crew, and to see how that all pans out for her in the long run. So I think it's really interesting just to see how this episode kind of moves in a different way than episode one. Episode one is a lot of building, and this one we're kind of like, okay, now we're kind of in the story, and let's just see how this unravels. And then we also get a glimpse of Natalie, and we see how Natalie is so close to what the actual Natalie, to Riri's best friend, which is so interesting how very close she's tailored to her best friend who's dead, and she has all her memories, and it's just the weirdest thing. But it's cool just to see that whole dynamic and how Riri is just like, I don't like this, I hate this. And she wants nothing to really do with Natalie to start off. So definitely an interesting beginning to the episode. And yeah, that's all I got.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Going over to you, pop culture guy. What are your thoughts on the beginning of episode 2? Is it giving you a hard time?
Okay, I got it. Jesus Christ. Sorry, technical difficulties. Again. Yeah, the beginning, it was good. I was like, yeah, yeah, technical difficulties, folks. I think this that AI Natalie affecting my system, folks. Yeah, I was like, oh man, this is, this is the longest episode, so I thought this beginning part was well paced. I love heist movies, so it's always cool to see like the team like getting ready for the plan, and stuff like that is exciting because it's like you're getting some excitement, and with the Hood being the leader is very interesting. Seeing this like apparent. Well, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know at this moment, right? That he's supernatural, right? Because first episode he didn't use his powers, right? In first episode, because we don't know how he has his powers yet, and so it's a very intriguing like idea of a supernatural leader working with this grounded team. So that was really interesting. The AI, I thought that just getting to know Natalie as a person was kind of intriguing. Getting more background on Riri's relationship with her, and all that was good. But I do agree with Jeff. I just wish the flashbacks, we can just hold it a little bit longer instead of just flashing. I don't like the man on fire kind of it's just oh, flashing, it's just make the flashback there, and I don't want to see the deaths, but like, just cut to black and you hear the gunshots, and it's very efficient storytelling to tell that they died. Like, I just felt like it was just silly to see like this like flare, like colorization of like back and forth to the flashback. It was kind of just like a little unnecessary. I just feel like stick with the flashback, just play it out, and then hit the dramatic point in the right way. And so that was just my minor gripe with the flashback when we're getting more of that information, like what happened to her stepdad and Natalie. But yeah, good beginning. I thought I was like, okay, we're in a good start. I'm very excited. And but my favorite part is when we get to it. It's like that was where I was like, oh my god, I love this. I love this episode. It's like funny. It's great. We'll get into it.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Shout out to CD Stein69 in the comments. Have a great night, sir. Thank you for dropping into our comments section. It looks like he's heading to your neck of the woods, Jeff. It says he's leaving from Florida at 5 a.m. in the morning. So, have fun there, CD Stein69. Thank you for your contributions in our comments section. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was fun.
All right. So moving over to you, Jack, your thoughts, sir, on the beginning of the episode.
This was more of Riri dealing with unprocessed trauma for her. And I think, just to touch on what Andres was saying about the flashback scene, I think that was intentional by the director for it to be jarring, because it wanted you to be in Riri's shoes and kind of how she processes it. So they tried to shoot it really chaotic so you could kind of see the way that she processes it. Not saying it was the right decision or the wrong decision, but I think that's probably the reason why they did that. This was my favorite episode of the first three. Was the second episode. I thought this one did the most, but I just, again, with the writing, I wanted to know why Tunnel was so bad. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to know what was really so wrong about this, because they've done this big deal of showing the city of Chicago and its personality and its rustic look and trying to give that feel of what downtown Chicago should feel like. And then all of a sudden we have a super highway that's tunneled underneath the entirety of the city. I wanted to know more and why that was a bad thing and what this corporation necessarily was doing that was so incredibly bad that, the hood and they needed to go in and do what they did. And I have a lot more comments about the negotiation scene in the tunnel, so I can't wait for that.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right. Moving over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on the beginning of episode 2.
Oh, not really much to add to what's already been presented as far as the opening for episode 2. I mean, again, I'm not really, overall, and at this point in episode 2, I'm just not really super attached to the concept of the the best friend AI concept, right? It's just kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like it seems like she's almost like too lifelike, like it's her like ability to have memories and everything is almost too realistic, for an AI, you know what I mean? And like, I just don't connect with it very well, that whole concept, maybe other people like it. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't do a lot for me, and then, the stuff where it's kind of like just, prepping for missions, kind of, scenes and stuff like that, and all that, I mean, I guess like the camaraderie of like, the whole crew, like you could say is okay. Like, it's interesting kind of, positive. I guess kind of at this point in the episode, like the way Hood runs his group is kind of neat, he has like a really like hands off kind of approach as like a leader, or a boss or whatever. Right. But that's pretty much it, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good job. Excellent job, everyone. Another villain points for everyone. Excellent job. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I think for this beginning here, I think it was kind of interesting. for myself, you know, the whole Natalie thing, her being very realistic. You know, the point I made when I was watching it was, okay, we realized that Riri created this with her mind. So why wouldn't it be as realistic as a real memory as this AI would become? Because AI, what does it do? It amplifies what information we give it. So it's going to take Riri's memories of her friend and make them very realistic. So I get that point. I get the reason why Natalie is the way she is. And I understand that. And I get that. Now, like how everyone kind of has mentioned, you know, it's not always, you know, the greatest AI thought process. And like they were talking about in the comment section, yeah, we're not getting the Riri Williams comic book version of, you know, unfortunately the AI, which should be Tony Stark. And which I would have preferred that myself, because then we would have got more of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. And so the fact that they decided to go this route, I can see the reason why they decided to do that is so they could really play in on the whole death of Natalie and that trauma that she has. And that's kind of what they're really starting to play on, I feel, here, especially at the beginning here when she's having these issues with the AI being just like Natalie, is very evident, I feel. And so I think that, you know, this beginning is interesting in the way that it gets you kind of thinking, it gets you kind of into the episode. And that might be your favorite, but still it keeps your attention up to keep you wanting to go through the episode. And I think they did a decent job in that sense. All right, so moving on from that. So startled at Natalie recalling a memory of the real Natalie, Riri decides to tether Natalie to her laptop before she brings her suit to Joe in Evanston. Riri forces Joe to bring her to his collection, which is a well-stocked and an off-site. Joe shares how it makes him close to his father, who believed in weapons manufacturing, while Joe believes technology can benefit humanity. While Joe helps complete Riri's suit, Natalie manages to escape into a different gadgets in Riri's home, meeting Ronnie in the process. So we'll stop there. Joe, played by Alden Ehrenreich, who, you know, of course, played young Han Solo in Solo, the Star Wars story. He was also in Cocaine Bear recently. I think he's a fun actor. I enjoy him. I think he's funny. And I pretty much always enjoy watching him. And I think that his character is absolutely freaking hilarious in this. He is such a soy boy. It cracks me the fuck up. I mean, I don't know why they decided to make him so, like, out of it, but the reason I feel is because of when we find out who his father is, I can see why maybe they made him the way he is, because of having to do with that pressure of who that is, and kind of, you know, him developing into a super villain just like his father was. So I think that was kind of interesting, the whole character, and I think Alden is doing a good job of portraying the character, and I think it's really funny. But I also think that, you know, this whole kind of intersecting of a character from another film series that's related to Iron Man, that was, I thought, a really genius. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad at least they're bringing in something that really helps connect it to the MCU in some sort of way. So I want to get your guys' thoughts kind of on that section and the whole meeting of Joe, Mr. Joe McGillicuddy. And what were your guys' thoughts on that? Her sticking Natalie in the laptop, and then Natalie, of course, breaking out and meeting Ronnie. What were you guys' thoughts on that? And I'll start with you, Jack, this time.
You know, I thought that was fine. It wasn't something that did a lot for me. I understood her wanting to leave her behind and not have her tethered to her everywhere that she went. This section had my favorite scene of the entirety of the three episodes, which was her and Joe singing Alanis Morissette at the top of their lungs in the car. That was bar none my favorite scene. I thought that kind of, you know, brought him back down to reality a little bit. Joe's an excellent character. He added a little bit. He was one of the characters I was like, okay, I'm interested now. Let's see what's going on with this guy. Why is he important? And the whole black market thing. And of course, the reveal down the road was good. But this was when I thought the series really started to pick up.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on that section.
Yeah, not really much. To be honest with you, I mean, it's just kind of a part of the episode. At the end of the day, I guess you know, the continued sort of character development, I guess you could say, of Riri is like watchable, right? It's like appealing enough, to sit and hold your your attention throughout the episodes. I'll give it that. I don't really the character Joe kind of comes out of nowhere for me in a way, from the audience standpoint. He just kind of comes in, and he's there. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden him and Riri are like really tight, like immediately, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, I don't really know, I didn't really understand that connection, I guess, maybe, but they really seem to get along like really well, immediately, you know what I'm saying? Like almost to where I thought maybe there was like a romantic, like vibe there or something like that potentially, but like that was just me, but that's pretty much it, Cyber. I don't really know. I mean, like, I wouldn't want that fucking AI like best friend or whatever, like fucking around me all the time, either. Like, I would just leave her at the house too. She's irritating as fuck at times. So yeah, that was a good move on her part, without question, and on the like the tech side, like, when she does like tech stuff, like, creating that, like that necklace that she created to project the AI later on and all that. That was cool. I dug all that stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Going over to you, Michael. Your thoughts are on that section of episode 2.
I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was interesting just to bring in another character and you're going on this journey trying to figure out how this character plays into this story. And obviously just because of where the story was going, the plot, and the fact that she went on this trip to kind of get the thing that she needed, you kind of knew that there was something more to this character. So I liked getting to know this mystery character who we find out is revealed later. I like getting to know him, and he's funny and he adds something different to the story, but I think definitely plays a bigger role probably in the future for Riri's story.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, going over to you, Mr. Pop Culture Guy. Your thoughts are on that section, please.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I agree with everyone. Like the whole, I mean, Natalie getting revealed to the mom was like okay, like it was just okay, like okay, she knows that Ruby created this, so it's not like a big deal, and she's just gonna tell later in this episode that it's cool that you created this AI, and then we'll get to it. It was interesting what she was trying to ask her daughter to do. But my favorite part about this episode was, of course, Joe. He was the MVP for this episode and next episode as well. I just thought that he just felt like the old-fashioned MCU, side character. Like, me and Jeff just got off from The Walking Dead, Dead City, and one of the worst things about it was the side characters were so awful. And that's been kind of the issue with the Disney Plus shows, that we haven't gotten like great side characters. There's like one or few there, like the Acolyte, that one Jedi that was from the Squid Game. He was a really good character, but the rest was kind of just like underdeveloped or just really bad. And just, I mean, I like this actor, as Cyber brought up, he played the Han Solo. I didn't have a problem with him playing Han Solo. He was, was very good in that. He was at Oppenheimer. He was great. I love how his delivery, he told Robert Downey Jr. about who voted him against, and then, he got to Robert Kennedy. It was funny in that movie. And yeah, and Cocaine Bear, oh my god, he's so funny in that. He was so funny. Like, he just felt so grounded. That was the thing. Like, he felt like a real person compared to the gang, the Hood scan. they were so like not real, and where compared to Joe, like I felt like Joe was more real, and like his conversation with his like neighbor is so real. Like, God damn it, why are you're having your dog like taking your like her bathroom, like taking the number 2? Come on, respect my space. Go to the park. And that's real life. That's what happened, and I was sympathized with Joe with that, and it was funny when like they brought it back, and that was such a great way to end the episode. But we'll get into that later on. My God, it was so funny when he started to cry. That was where I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. He's like, I'm so sorry. I've been blackmailed twice today. I'm like, what? Like, not only Riri blackmail him, but then apparently this other individual we don't know blackmail him. That is so funny. I just thought like, oh my God, this poor fella, And yeah, I agree with Jack. Them sitting that song. I love that artist too, and
Alanis Morissette.
Thank you. Great song, and I thought that was really great. And it makes like I get why they're trying to connect it. Obviously we cannot discuss the reveal, but because how he is as a person, like I like compared to the Hood, right? The Hood is doing like a very bad influence to Riri because Riri is desperate to like continue her project, because she wants to help out the world. She wants to, just like Tony wants a suit armor everywhere, because she wants to prevent the tragedy, right? I get that. And so seeing the Hood, taking advantage of Riri in this like emotional state makes a lot of sense. And then it makes a lot of sense why we're having Joe here, because look at like I talked about how funny the neighbor is, but like that is with the reveal, it's like I kind of get why we're doing that, because Riri can easily push like we saw in the next episode, we'll get into it, but like she can easily make him overconfident himself and be even maybe potentially dangerous. So I see what they're trying to do, the writers. So I see what they're trying to do is like it's a similar situation that where Riri's at with the Hood, and Riri is doing it unintentionally with am I saying right, Joe? And as a character, being influenced to him, and he starts to get more confident when we saw it later in the episode. So I really like what we're doing with Joe here as a character. I see what they're trying to do here, and I think that's the part I'm like really excited to see where we're going to take this character, especially we'll get into episode 3. So this part I was so happy. I will never forget. I've been blackmailed twice today. That was my favorite moment from this episode, and that was where I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite episode. I agree with Jack. This is probably my favorite out of the 3 episodes.
I wanted him to take a crap on her lawn.
Oh yeah, like Oz, like how Oz, the TV show Oz, when the guy did the dump on J.K. Simmons' character. Yeah.
And he should have been singing "Ought You to Know" and then take the shit on the line. That would have been fucking funny as hell. I would have loved that. Anyways, great job there, pop culture guy. 60-minute man as usual. So great job.
Oh.
Anyways, great job, everyone. Hands down, fantastic. 50,000 billion points for everyone. All right, so getting back to the story. Like I said, the heist on TNL goes on smoothly until Natalie breaks into Riri's suit, making her drop the hard drive containing the virus. Riri and Natalie manage to devise a backup plan to initiate the shutdown, where Parker successfully blackmails TNL's CEO, Sheila Surratt, into signing a contract put the crew under TNL's payroll. Riri is confronted by a guard during her escape, and Natalie glitches out before Parker shoots the guard. Natalie shares that she panicked as it was reminded of the real Natalie's death, but also expressed her suspicion of Parker's power. After going with Xavier to a concert, Riri talks with Ronnie about Natalie. Riri refuses his mother's request to make an AI Gary, as she does not know where Natalie came from. And that's pretty much how the episode ends. All right, so last third of the episode, guys. I think that, this, how the heist goes, I think that was very entertaining. I thought that was interesting what they do. Them getting the contract signed by the CEO. I thought that was an interesting take as well. I thought that we had some interesting moments there that were entertaining. I thought seeing the suit in action was fun, especially while it was stuck underneath the car there as they're going down the highway tunnel thing. And, of course, Natalie coming in and glitching it out and everything. That was interesting, too, I thought. This, of course, we also have the Riri going to the concert with Xavier, which I think that was I felt that was kind of outplaced for me. I thought that was kind of unnecessary to add to the episode already. And they could have done without that and just go right to the Natalie Ronnie talk, Riri and Ronnie talk. And, them talking about how realistic Natalie is and everything is, once again, going back to, this is a amalgamation of Riri's mind that created this AI. I don't get why Riri doesn't figure this out. She's supposed to be super intelligent. You think she would have figured this out. This is an actual memory that she got turned into an AI. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be. So it kind of pisses me off every single time. She keeps like, well, I don't know where Natalie came from and this shit and stuff. Like, you know exactly where she came from. She came from your brain. So I think that's one of the things that nags me. It kind of irritates me the most about the show is that whole aspect there about the AI. Like, you know exactly where the goddamn AI came from. You're just not willing to admit that it's from your trauma that's what created this. So, I wish they would kind of like buff that out and just finish it off and be done with it, and just either have Natalie there or not have Natalie there. Do something. Because I just think that was one of the stupidest things, and kind of the things that irritated me the most about this episode particularly. But other than that, I thought the ending was okay. It was decent. It had a good kind of middle section there that led to the ending that was pretty basic. So what are you guys' thoughts on that conclusion of this episode 2, and any overall thoughts? And I'll start with, drum roll, please. We'll go to Michael.
Yeah, I thought this ending was it's kind of intense. It was an interesting way for them to end it with, going through the whole heist and losing that device that they needed, and while getting it back, and then ending up outside where Parker shoots the guard, and it makes things a little bit more interesting, where we didn't see, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't see Parker's powers up until this point. So to kind of see him a little bit in action, it gives Riri cause for pause. She's like, this is interesting. Who is this guy? And she starts to get a little bit more curious on that front. I agree too on that whole Xavier and concert thing. Does feel a little weird, especially after that whole moment that she experienced with Parker, and noticing his powers and him not saving her, but helping her out in a way. That moment does feel a little weird, a little out of left field. I get what they're trying to do, but I'm not sure it fit and it made sense. And then Riri talks with her mom about the AI Gary, and I get why Riri says no. I kind of am with you on how she does not know that it's from her mental, her memory. I wonder if she's just denying it and just pushing it away, and not trying to really come to the truth that this is from you. So yeah, interesting ending. Not clean cut, but definitely some moments where, again, it keeps me a little bit more intrigued, and I'm like, okay, I want to see where the third episode goes.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jeff, your thoughts, sir, on the ending of episode 2, sir?
Yeah, not really a ton to say on my end. I do like the way that they kind of wrap up the episodes with a lot of the sort of the the sub development with the hut or whatever his name is, I like the seeing the tattoo, come alive and all that was cool. Like obviously there's a some kind of supernatural, magical connotation to something like that. That, right? So that's cool. I like how they kind of give the hood kind of a little bit of a kind of a extended screen time kind of at the end of the episodes, and they did it well in episode 2. I like the room that he puts his hood in, is like very very supernatural looking, and like feeling and sounding, so I dig those vibes a lot with the hood. I was really looking forward to seeing what's his name? Mephisto by the episode 3, but we didn't get to see him, unfortunately, hopefully soon. So but yeah, again, that they pay, there's a lot of attention paid to the AI and Fred and Riri, at the end of the episode, and I just don't I don't know if I care for that angle that much. Like their dichotomy doesn't really do a lot for me. The heist was plausible, the way that they showed it, it was plausible. Kind of like, awkward how he makes the chick sign the contract and all that, like make them employees and all this shit and everything, Like I get where they were trying to go with that, but it didn't really like play out. I don't think the way that they wanted it to, So yeah, again, just to rip, connect to Jack, the 2 chicks that are the muscle for like the squad or whatever, they're just not believable. You know what I'm saying? Like, like they're not believable, like as like enforcers. I'm sorry. So that just doesn't work for me, the way that they can just beat ass wherever they go, like it's kind of ridiculous. Seriously. They're making the MCU like look soft, although their hand-to-hand combat skills are good though, like they're not slacking when it comes to their skills, they're dropping all kinds of kicks and, sweeping kicks and shit. And like, all this jumping kicks and shit, all that shit. So, they've been watching their John Claude movies, baby. You know what I'm saying? Before they did Ironheart, they watched John Claude, Bloodsport, for training. So, that's how they got so good. They're watching the VHS version of Bloodsport. So, we've all seen that version, baby. Yeah. So that's all I got, Cyber. I like the, I don't know, episode 2 was kind of a fall off for me from episode 1. Kind of a drop off, to be honest with you, a little bit of a letdown. But, I guess it was okay. And the ending was okay.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jack, your thoughts, sir?
I would be willing to bet my mortgage that if you locked me in the room with the Hood's crew minus the Hood, I win against every single one of them. I'm not trying to sound one way or the other. They're not believable to me when it comes to, their abilities. Okay. Now I did say this was my favorite episode, and that's true. But the one thing that I just cannot wrap my head around is the fact that this was all hinged on the Hood showing up in the car and forcing her to sign this contract that not only gave them 6-figure salaries for, 7 people, but also made them shadow owners of
For
this
real.
probably
11
multi-million dollar
people.
company. So that's my question. First of all, how are you going to prove that this contract is binding and would work? Because you can't sign something under duress or in the presence of a notary. And if you wanted to, to talk about that, hey, by the way, guys, this guy showed up in my car in a hood and told me to make him $100,000 employees. They're not going to do anything, but he was really scary. I just don't buy it, because then what happens? They take the contract to court. The court sends out the police for the hood and all his gang. I don't see where this works as a plausible plot hook. I just don't get it. And so for these guys who are so terrible to everybody, why wouldn't you make the hood like this Robin Hood character? Go out and take these hundreds of thousands of dollars and reinvest it into Chicago. Therefore, you have the side of the city and the people, and then you kind of make him out to be this anti-hero with some bad side to him, as opposed to this guy who just was on a get-rich-quick scheme because he found a way into this lady's car and knew to smash the call for help button. I just thought this was very sloppily put together, because there's no way if any of this goes down the rabbit hole that it works for any of them. So that's where I was kind of like, this is not great. So I thought Joe and Riri were the best parts of this. And again, the whole, just the ending of it showing his powers, I was like, okay, this is why we need to follow him and see him as a plot point. But other than that, I felt the whole heists, none of the heists make sense to me in this series. So that's why I'm kind of like, okay, make them make sense, let us know why we should care, and then then we'll have an actual plot. I think that's what hurts this show the absolute most, is they want to tell so much of a story in 6 episodes, and it's just not possible. And this episode kind of suffered from that, in my opinion.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. All right. Last but not least, Andres, 60-Minute Man, Toxic Avenger, Time Cop. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. Now I really don't like the show. Thanks, Jack. Before you just come to me, when I was hearing Jack, I was like, oh shit, yeah, they didn't make the heist doesn't even make sense now. I'm like, what the hell? I like that we got to see the Hood powers. Like, that's actually the positive thing about this episode 3. I like how they're using the abilities. I like how they're using the supernatural. It's very horror-like, if you're into that, horror genre like I do. It's very reminiscent of like The Conjuring, or any possessed stories, if you're into that. Because something is happening with the Hood, and we've seen bits of the tattoo, and you see these I don't know, these clearly veins coming into his bag. It's very interesting. But yeah, the heist, why does the Hood need the gang? That's very true. I get, I kind of wish we understand the rules of the Hood's powers. Is it because the tunnel can affect his abilities? If you just throw that line, I'm like, okay, I get why he needs the team. Or in general, you don't need the team. Just he needs Riri because she's the smartest person. She's able to, it's so easy to do. And I don't get why they didn't do that, because now this and next episode is so weird, because I thought initially it was because of his powers, but no, I was just thinking, just hearing Jack is like, oh yeah, that's weird. But what are you gonna say? I mean, at least they're entertaining, and the contract, I don't know, is this going to be revealed? If the Hood doesn't know, this is a jump theory, but maybe whoever is behind the Hood, or what's controlling, I forgot his real name now. the Hood, I forgot his name now. Sorry, Parker. Maybe the contract that he just given to those people are devil contracts. If you've seen Ghost Rider, there's this evil contract, it's gonna take control of these people, or just the souls. Maybe that's gonna happen towards the end of the season. I don't know, man, but that's my theory. If they're not gonna do that, then it's really weird that this guy just randomly gonna give them this buying contract to give them all their assets and their stocks. And, that's not how it works.
There's no way a board agrees to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Pay him $100,000 a year.
$100,
no
yeah.
problem.
And one person I followed, a YouTuber named John Campion. He's a lawyer. He brought up that even the contract can easily be broken off. Like, like people have to understand, contracts is not like that. Contracts can easily completely thrown away by the board, and so yeah, it's so unrealistic. So yeah. It was a fun sequence. I mean, it was just the spectacle. That's the thing. Like, I liked the spectacle. It was really cool. It reminded me of Mission Impossible. That was the thing that I liked the scene. Seeing the hand of the robotic suit coming and like doing the virus was like, oh, cool. Like, all that was exciting to me. Just the logic of it didn't make sense as Jack was talking about it. And then just the ending itself, I felt like, I don't know, like, look, I get it. Riri is trauma. She's not moving forward. I get it. Why do we need her friend scene and then her mom scene? That doesn't make sense. I think you could just get rid of the mom scene completely and just leave it with the Xavier, because that feels more like, for me, that was much more emotional, and like, because Xavier is trying to move on and like try to hold Natalie's memories. Where the mom, I like the mom scene, but then it's like you're asking your audience to be like hit constantly that look guys, Riri is really like trauma, like still stuck in the past, and like I get it. Just don't do it twice in a row. And I agree with Cyber. It's like you're the smartest person. Build a robot or AI of Gary. Like, I mean, I'm gonna go this far as like, you can make something to like give your mom something to remember her her late husband. And just adding the more frustration about the logic of this, that hologram that we see Natalie is the same thing that Mysterio used and what Tony used in Civil War, the barf technology. So like, you can easily use that and create that hologram for Gary. So like, again, this just doesn't make sense. So yeah, the ending was okay. Then we haven't brought up the ending with Joe cutting the flowers with his neighbor, like or that's next episode.
That was the end of episode 2.
Okay, yeah, okay, because at least we end that. I like that. It was great to call back the annoying neighbors, like payback. And when it's a funny way, instead of like doing something that was really like a crime, if you just like, I'm gonna cut your flowers here, and it's like, I was like, okay, I'm proud of you, man. And it just shows like Riri's influence is like getting to him, and he's becoming more confident. And he's kind of like the Justin Hammer, if you know what I'm getting here. He's becoming like that, being very overconfident. That's something I can see him to be. But yeah, so overall, the ending is okay. Nothing special, but it doesn't deteriorate my enjoyment of this episode, because I think Joe just makes it better. And that's my opinion. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you, 60-minute man. Great job again. 60 minutes. So thank you very much. Anyways, so two of our guests here, Michael and Jack, need to be on their way. So for your guys' final question before you leave, I just want to get your guys' rating on this episode and episode 3, and any thoughts you would like to talk about episode 3 at all. I don't care. You can give spoilers, whatever you like. Just your final thoughts on episode 3 before you guys leave. And thank you for coming on, guys. We appreciate it. So I'll start with you, Michael.
Episode 2, I would go probably like a 7 out of 10. I think it steps it up from episode 1, which I had around a 6.5 out of 10. And then episode 3, I would say it's probably still around that 7. Maybe it's a 7.5 out of 10. I think episode 3, more so the way it ended, I think it sets it up, these next 3 episodes, for something that could be really interesting. We see Parker talking to somebody. My wife wasn't watching any of it, but she had popped in on the last episode, and she was like, "Is she talking to God?" And I was like, "No, he's not talking to God. He's not talking to God."
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, quite the opposite.
The other way.
Yeah. And so seeing that scene was pretty interesting, and seeing Riri again. She's dealing with the consequences of her actions, and she's caught up in all this stuff. And then she left that thing that's Joe's, who turns out to be Obadiah Stane, not Obadiah Stane, Obadiah Stane's son, Zeke Stane. And it's just like, there's all these things that I feel like that episode 3 really gave us that are like, okay, the next 3 episodes can be really interesting, even if it turns out just to be a mediocre show at the end of the day. So I'm really intrigued to see where all that goes. I do think my favorite moment was seeing that was Obadiah Stane's son. I think that was a nice moment, especially for all of us who love Iron Man 1. I think that was a pretty cool moment. So
agreed. Yeah, that was a great throwback to Iron Man 1. So that was interesting. They decided to bring in Ezekiel Stane into the fold, which surprisingly he's only been around since the early 2000s in the comics. So he's a relatively new character. So I think that's interesting. They decided to bring him in. But great points. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for coming as well. It's been fantastic to have you on, sir. I think you've been a great guest, and hopefully we'll have you again, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it, guys.
Most certainly.
Take care, sir.
See you guys.
And you, Jack, please, your episode rating for both episodes 2 and 3, and any final thoughts on 3.
I'll give episode 2 a 7 for sure. I thought that was the best of the batch. For the fun finale, this was another ham-handed heist for me. It didn't make sense to me why things went the way they went. Another contract. I couldn't believe that the most compelling part of the entirety of the episode was her trying to get that damn piece of the hood off. I mean, I think it was a great reveal for Ezekiel Stane to be who that character was. And again, the themes of Path to Hell are paved with good intentions. She leaves him out to dry, kind of with that synthetic skin she leaves at the crime scene. And she finally makes this friend. She's trying to do the right thing, and she kind of dicks him over. That was a kind of a high point of the episode, and we got to see why the hood is more of a threat than just being able to bend bullets. So for this episode, I think just the heist and the crew, they just kill it for me. So I'll put the rating at a 6, but still, it's interesting. It left more to be desired for sure. The ending with the flowers was kind of meh. The ending with Natalie, that was cool. I like to see where that was going to go. The ending with the hood, however, was the best ending of the 3. That was the one that really had me going, okay, let me see Mephisto sitting in this room, please. Let me see some dark entity that he's dealing with so we can get more into why we should care about this character. But if I may, just for another second before I go, just want to say thank you to Bleeding Edge Marvel for you guys having me on. It was good to come on and talk, even if it was Ironheart. Nothing wrong with that, but best of luck to you guys. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yes.
All right, sir. Take care.
Certainly.
It was honored. Great Funko Pops, by the way. Well done.
Thank you. I was telling Jeff this is about 1/100th of what's in this room, so maybe we'll get a tour one day.
Ooh, gonna keep that in mind. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Andres, what's your rating on episode 2, sir?
Oh, a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a step up from episode 1. There's just too much like flaw in this episode that now I realize is like, oh, but thank goodness Joe is introduced to this show, and he was the best thing about this episode. So 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, Jeff, what would you give episode 2, sir?
I'll give it a 5, sir.
All right. I'll give this one a 7 as well. I felt that it was on par with the last episode. I didn't see any differences in this episode. I thought it was the exact same kind of thought process and everything as the first episode. And it was directed by the same person. The same person directed all 3 episodes. So I felt all 3 of them had the same vibe. So I would have to say this one was also a 7 as well. Because it was entertaining, but at the same time wasn't the greatest. But I definitely felt that it kept me entertained enough to watch the whole episode. So unlike Echo, which I wanted to shut off after 2 minutes, and Secret Invasion, I wanted to turn off after 5 minutes. It was definitely better, way better than the Acolyte was. So I have to bring up the Acolyte again. Acolyte sucked. Anyways, going on to the final episode of our 3-episode arc. This one's called "We in Danger, Girl." Which I'm sorry, but for some reason, every time I read that, all I hear is like drag queens for some reason. I don't know why, but I do. Because that just sounds like something that on RuPaul's Drag Race that's what I would hear because Shea Coulee is in this TV series. But anyways, the gang celebration of their successful heist goes sour when Riri and gang member Clown touch Parker's hood in his room, which causes them to be chastised by John. Parker arrives and shares their second heist targeting biotech firm Heirloom, whose farming technology forces farmers out of business. Riri shares to Parker her struggles that partaking in the heist make her a bad person, but Parker shares that anyone who achieves greatness has done questionable things to get it done, attributing his magical hood to his becoming unstoppable. So we'll stop there. And I have to say, definitely, the beginning of this episode it really quickly pulls you in, especially because we have this conversation with Hood and Riri, and kind of going back into that kind of that you got to do questionable things in order to get greatness, basically, is kind of what the Hood mentions. And so with any big company that has become powerful, you got to think about it. That's kind of how they get to the place they are to be successful. Is sometimes they have to do things that are on that line of being either bad or good. And so, even though we all know the Hood's intentions are the intentions of his master that gave him the robe, gave him the boots, which if you are familiar with the Hood's story from Marvel, that's how he gets his powers, from the Hood and boots. I don't think it's in the series they have it where it's the boots, it's just the Hood. So that's kind of sad that they didn't do both, but at the same time, I think that you can definitely tell. I mean, as we have seen over the course of these first 3 episodes, those tattoos on his body keep getting larger and larger on his body. And you're kind of like, that's not good. I don't think your tattoo should be growing like that, like tattoo in Elektra. Okay. It definitely should not be growing like that. So as we have seen, there's definitely something very sinister going on with the Hood, with where his powers have come from. And I don't know if it's the use of the Hood is what's causing the tattoos to grow, or just whatever the presence of who gave him the powers is growing on him. But I think definitely this beginning portion really gives us kind of an essence of that a little bit. And, we have, the John character, Manny. I think it is definitely an interesting question played by Manny. I think he does a really good job. I liked the character. I thought it was an interesting character. And we kind of get a thought process of him in this beginning of the episode too, especially when he goes after them for touching the Hood. So I think that this is a really good start and really gets things going for us. So I'll start with you, Mr. Pop Culture Guy. What are your thoughts on the beginning of the episode?
It was starting very good. I kind of liked it up to John, where I think when John attacked him, that was when I thought, all right, the opening was really great. And then we got the conversation you were talking about, Cyber, about Riri talking to the Hood, why we're stealing, the rich and all that. That was really amazing, right? And it just explained who he is as a character. Yeah, I think this was a really great opening. It just hooked me right away. I think it just hooked me right away about this mysterious Hood. I agree with you. It's kind of sad. I don't think they're doing the boots. I haven't heard from these people that they're using that, but it doesn't really matter. I think they already hooked me on the idea that maybe it's either the Hood, or you were saying before, maybe someone that gave the Hood is controlling that. Like, fascinating. And I really like the cousin John here. He's really good. I really liked him in his first 3 episodes, and I thought this episode he was really threatening. Like, he at least is more useful in the team than the other people, I have to say. But yeah, I thought it was really, that was the thing that it was kind of missing with these first 3 episodes, just like intrigue, and I was already like, I was curious about the Hood, but now I was like, okay, very fascinating. I agree with Jack. Like, I cannot believe then Riri has this quest to now like chop off the piece of the hood's cape to find out what kind of energy it is. It's fascinating. But yeah, beginning was awesome. I gotta say, awesome.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jeff, your thoughts, sir, on the beginning of the episode leading up to when let me see here. Where did I stop? After Riri and Parker have their conversation about, basically you have to tread the line of good and bad in order to get to this top.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't. It's just all right, I mean, it's just pretty, not nothing really happens that's all that interesting to talk about, really. I mean, I don't care a lot for the Riri Williams character, in the show. So like, I'm not really all that like connected in or dialed in. When there's these heavy dialogue scenes at times and things like that, I'm kind of a little bit tuned out, I mean, I thought it was kind of like silly that the chick like stole like the hood's hood, like that was just kind of dumb, like why the fuck would you do that, like he's the hood, you know what I'm saying, like that's his hood, you don't steal his fucking hood, like that's childish, so I thought that was kind of dumb. I didn't realize Riri was trying to cut off a piece of his hood. I didn't realize that. But that's cool. I didn't realize that. I mean, we don't see her doing any like in suit stuff yet in the episode, but for the most part, I like the, her in the suit, for the most part, I could do with a little bit less of, like her, like with the visor shot, when they do that at times. I don't really care for that too much, just, not a big fan of the fact that like, there's this massive incorporation of like the AI best friend into the show at this point, she's a part of it, and like, wants more of a life or whatever, or like, to be more active or whatever, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's a very like odd kind of quirky, like, deal that they have going on there, in episode 2, like, the AI talking to the mom was like through the TV was like really weird, that's pretty much all I got, Cyber. I don't really, not much to say about this part of the episode, really.
Okay. Moving on. Thank you, sir. All right. So moving on from that. All right. So we are. Okay. Okay. Natalie forces Riri to upgrade the suit so she would not be tethered to the suit. Riri is informed of the death of Rampage, a former gang member, and she decides to find a way to cut off part of the hood to find out the truth. Using Joe's design of biomesh skin to conceal bionic enhancements, Riri goes to Joe's place where she finds him injured from an experiment on himself. And while finding medical supplies, discovers the ashes of Obadiah Stane. Joe reveals his real name is Ezekiel Zeke Stane, the son of Obadiah, who died trying to kill Tony Stark. Zeke does not want to be like his father and shares concern over what Riri has planned. Zeke asks her why she built an iron suit, and Riri explains that Gary was a Stark fan and fixed things because he could. She hopes to do the same. Riri comforts Zeke, who gives her the biomesh skin. We'll stop there. So what are you guys' thoughts on that section? The whole learning Joe is Zeke Stane, finding out that he is biomechanically enhancing himself, and basically kind of her take on why she kind of built the suit, and kind of this portion is kind of the slower section of the episode. So what are you guys' thoughts? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, it is a very slow part of the episode. I mean, I will say that like the scenes with what's his name, George or whatever, Obadiah Stane's kid, he's okay. They're okay. Again, like I felt like there was like almost like a romantic tension a little bit in episode 3 between them, you know, like almost like he has the hots for her, kind of, I guess, right? Which wouldn't bother me at all, you know. I mean, that would make the show a little more interesting. You know, I mean, some of the tech stuff is a little bit, you know, over my head a little bit when they start talking all kinds of tech and all that, you know. You know, you know, all the stuff, you know, where again we're going back to Riri with the best friend AI again, you know, and like, you know, incorporating her, you know, more into the suit and all that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and all and everything that they're doing. It's not all that, it's really not all that interesting, you know. It's really not. It's kind of boring, you know. This is kind of a like a you know, sort of a more boring part of episode 3, you know, before it kind of gets a little bit, has more action to it, you know. It is at least a long episode. I'll give it that. It's a long episode. You know, episode 3 is, but that's pretty much all I got, Cyber.
Okie dokie. Andres, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think this is where I start to really get to say, okay, this is a good show that has potential. I gotta say yeah, I agree with Jeff. I mean, the AI thing is kind of like I don't know, like I like Natalie, but like she's so like pushy and like she's like pushing her friend to like go out as an AI. I'm like, you're an AI. You can, why do you want to go out? Like you want people to think your friend is crazy, right? So I thought that section was okay. I didn't like it was okay. I don't know why we had to do that, but the reveal of, you know, Joe becoming you know, staying was a big deal. Obviously I'm a huge Iron Man fan. I'm a big Iron Man fan. When I knew that there was some rumor before the show that he was going to be that, and I just never knew because of just how he is. But the reveal and just that last episode, this episode, it was really cool. And yeah, the bio thing that he is doing and he's interested in is from the comic books. So that's really cool because he is a villain from the comic books. He came in actually 2008, right around the first Iron Man movie came out. This is during the Matt Fraction run of Iron Man, and he brought him in there, and he worked with the Mandarin to like go against Iron Man with a couple of the Iron Man villains. It was a very interesting arc, and I thought that character was interesting, and I heard that he was supposed to be the secondary antagonist with Loki in the first Avengers movie, but he got deleted. So I'm very happy to bring him in to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a lot of potential. First off, if they ever do Armor Wars, I mean, unfortunately it's canceled, but if they're gonna do either a movie, it'd be kind of cool to be having him here and maybe team up with Justin Hammer. That there's could be potential there. I like his chemistry with Riri because, you know, I get why he doesn't want to be like his dad. I can see that, and you know, he now sees why Riri is doing what she's doing. She's doing kind of like the opposite of Tony Stark. She wants to help out, just like her dad, and so I think that will be the thing that for him to continue helping out Riri as an ally. And I'm curious if he will stay like that or be turned into a villain against Riri. So I'm very intrigued where we're gonna go with this character. So I agree with you guys. It's a very slow part of this episode. I agree. I did not care about the AI thing with Natalie. It was like, ugh. But I was like, the twist was like worth it. I thought the twist was awesome. I'm very excited to to take where this Stain character is going to be in this show. So I was hooked to my seat at that moment. And plus, I don't know, you guys laugh at this. But, Dodger, shut up. Anyway, when what was it? Riri got the ashes. That was funny. When she's like, "Oh shit, the ashes!" You know, that was funny in the cookie jar. I thought that was funny. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the mix section.
All right, thank you, sir, and thank you for keeping it to 30-minute man versus 60-minute man. Good job, sir.
Yes,
All right.
I did it. Yes, I
All
did.
right, back to the episode. So at the heist, Riri lets Natalie use the suit while she sneaks up on Parker to cut out part of his robe, while he negotiates with CEO Hunter Mason, who refuses to sign his contracts. However, Riri's cutter activates the detection system, causing a lockdown that emits carbon dioxide. Parker kills Mason before he and Natalie rescue the crew. Riri runs into John, who mistakenly thinks she killed Parker after seeing the piece of the hood she cut off, and he admits to killing Rampage. The two fight before Natalie saves Riri, leaving John to die. Riri panics as she arrives home and realizes she left the biomesh skin where John died, and a grieving Parker attempts to quit being the hood before he is given a vision showing that Riri was responsible for John's death. Ooh. All right, guys. So, the final portion of episode 3. What are you guys' thoughts on that? The whole heist sequence, the John being killed, Parker seeing a vision, kind of giving us more vibes into the magical realm. And do you feel that the magical element of this series so far has kind of hinted at Doctor Strange coming back into the mix at some point? And or do you feel it's pointing towards the actual origin story of Hood and the demon that gave him the powers in the comics, or do you think it's going towards Mephisto? And any thoughts other than that on that last portion of the episode? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Obviously, I mean, they already said that Mephisto is going to be in the show, so it'd be kind of a big letdown if he did not appear at some point in the series. I again did like the supernatural tones with the hood at the end of the episode. I dig that element of Marvel Comics. You know what I'm saying? So I like seeing it portrayed in the MCU. I really like the hell, demons, that kind of connection and magical power coming from that, coming from the hood or whatever, however it plays out with him, obviously it'll be interesting to see. That's one thing about the show that makes it, somewhat worth watching, is to find out what the deal is with the hood, at this point, the mission that they go on. I mean, I really wasn't sure what Riri was doing when she was why she was not in her suit. Now I know, but I didn't know then. I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? I guess she's doing this mission without her suit or something, so I didn't know what was happening. I thought that was just a leaf when she got the part of the hood. I thought that was a leaf and she just wanted a leaf or something. I don't know. So I didn't know what was going on. Now I know, obviously, John or whatever died, that was pretty intense. Now there's some stakes in the show, the brother or the cousin or whatever died, and the hood found out who killed him at the end, right? So that was pretty dope. Obviously I want to see Mephisto, next, right? I want to see more of the supernatural element of the show, right? That's the strong part, the good part. I didn't really care for them separating the AI in the suit, doing this AI with the suit, and then, Riri just doing her own thing. I could go without that, she should just be in the suit herself, I think, personally, you know what I'm saying? No stealth missions for Riri. That's it, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Pop culture guy, Toxic Avenger, Time Cop. Your thoughts, sir?
Toxic Lord, I am. Toxic Lord.
He's a Toxic Avenger, folks.
God damn it. Anyway, the ending was bad, good, and the ugly. So the good stuff was the hood. I was intrigued. I thought that just it was so cool that the demon, whatever it is that's controlling, Parker, is like that was such a horror film, just seeing his poor cousin dying in front of him in a projection was kind of really neat and cool. And then seeing just the shadow of the Ironheart suit was really cinematic. I thought that was really great. And predictions. I'm with Jeff here. I mean, it's definitely Mephisto. I mean, since WandaVision, it became such a big deal, such a big theory of is it Mephisto? Is he going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because I mean, Mephisto is a important character in the supernatural comic books, like particularly Ghost Rider. If you want to go, if you're gonna do Ghost Rider after this phase, like or Midnight Suns, like you need Mephisto first to like understand where Ghost Rider comes from, you know, because the Nicolas Cage movies, I mean, fun, they did our boy Mephisto dirty, and it was not good. So I think the MCU needs to like properly do Mephisto right. So that's the logical choice. Other, I mean, Doctor Strange. I mean, I could see maybe like actually Screen Crush. I saw Screen Crush doing Easter eggs for the first 3 episodes. He brought up something that could be possible. It makes sense for like a Doctor Strange 3. Dormammu is the other demon that is maybe pulling the strings. Because remember, we had that Dormammu from the first movie. We have Clea now from Multiverse Madness from the post-credit scene, and they're in the dark dimension because of the conversions. So it makes more sense maybe that Dormammu will be maybe the theme that's controlling the hood and all that. We'll see. But it's either that or Mephisto. So that's my theories about the demon entity. Heist, it was like, oh, blah blah blah. It's very weird. Like, why you need them, especially like what was it, a plant? Like, was it a plant whatever company? I was like, why? And I was with Jeff. I was like, what the hell is Riri doing? What the fuck is she doing? She's like cutting leaf so that she can maybe, I don't know, like cure something. I don't know. I was like, what was it? And then it was the second shot when the chapter raised up. I was like, oh, it was the cape. Oh, she was cutting the cape. I was like, oh, that was weird. So I just cut it out. It was bad shotting from the director. Like, she didn't precision like the shot to like I could understand that she was cutting the cape. Plus the cape was so dark. Like, it's not colorful. So I didn't know it was either a plant or a fucking cape. So it was so weird. So I was like, okay, John dying, I was not expecting that. So it was really like shocking that he died in this episode. And I'm very excited because now the stakes are high because of, now the Hood and Parker knows that Riri is the responsible for this death, and she's the reason that caused the heist. Hopefully, I'm hoping that we get rid of the gang. We don't need that. Now we're in the mid-season, right? We're in the mid-season. Now everything should be more exciting, hopefully. Because, I mean, right now, I don't need the whole gang thing. I don't need the whole Natalie AI thing. So I just really want is the Stain and the Hood storyline. Because those are the ones I'm more excited for. I'm more intrigued in that. Because that's the only thing that I'm like more hooked on than whatever this other stuff is. And you kind of feel that it's like the gang is almost like a reshot. Like, maybe it was a much bigger part, and then because of this 2-year wait, they kind of cut out this like whole gang thing, which is good because I don't really like the whole gang thing because it doesn't make sense at all. So that's my thoughts. So I thought the ending was the good, the bad, and the ugly for the show.
All right, thank you, sir. Good job, everyone. 50 billion quadrillions has been points for everyone tonight. Everyone's a winner. Everyone gets a Danny Award. Good job, everyone. So ratings, what would you give this final episode of this 3-episode arc we just did? Starting with you, pop culture guy.
A tough one. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, it was okay. It still has the problems like the first 2 episodes. Like, it's getting better. It's not getting amazing for me. It's just like Dead City. It's like, get rid of this stuff that I don't like and just focus on these things that I like that's more intriguing for the show. So that's my problem right now. So I'll give it 7 out of 10. So that's all I have to give it.
Okay, Jeff?
I'll give it a 6, Cyber.
Okay. I'm actually going to up the ante on this one. I'm going to give it a 9. I thought this episode was really good. I enjoyed it. I love the whole heist sequence. I thought that was really fun. John's death, I thought was a great idea. So I have to give it a 9 because of that. And then the fact that we had some really just great kind of like thought process here and the revealing of Obadiah Stane's son, that I thought was really fantastic. And the fact that he was building bio stuff into himself, I thought that was really cool. So I have to give it a 9 because of those things, because I just thought those really up the ante on the episode and made it fun. And then, of course, the ending was absolutely superb. Hood being kind of messed with by whoever has given him his powers, and basically showing him who killed John, basically. So I think that was really fantastic, and I have to give it a 9 because of that. All right, so that is the end of episode 3 and all 3 of the episodes we have done. And so I will turn it over to our wonderful Mr. Jeff, and he will take us out.
Okay, for plugs, I will go to you first, Cyber, and here you go, sir.
All right, folks, if you enjoy me as a moderator on the panel here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, pretty much anywhere there. As you can see there, my most recent trailer reaction is for an upcoming horror film called The Home, starring Pete Davidson. If you have not seen that trailer, check it out. Looks like it's going to be a very interesting film. Then also, if you have not seen The Accountant 2 yet, check out my review there. Or if you have seen it, check out my review. That's my most recent review on The Accountant 2. I thought it was a really fantastic film, really enjoyable, worth the 9 years to get it. And for my shorts, of course, my most recent was for 28 Days Later. I've been watched 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later in preparation for seeing 28 Years Later today. Went and saw it. We putting up a mini review of that and a full review of that soon, so keep your eyes out for that. As you can see there, my most other recent are Baby Driver and Elio for Disney's Pixar film that was really entertaining. Baby Driver, finally got around to seeing it finally. Really enjoyed that too. Thought it was a decent movie. If you haven't seen any of those, check those out. As always, appreciate you guys for subscribing and for being a part of the channel. And of course, if you haven't, please check out any place where I have some extra cool accoutrement for you guys, such as Cameo or Patreon, where you can help support the channel. So definitely check that out too. Keep helping us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge by watching us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, folks, too, as well. We appreciate for watching us here. And we have more stuff coming up for you guys. So keep your eyes out, and thank you for being a part of this community.
All right. Andre's the pop culture guy.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. It was really fun. I thought the guys we had here was really awesome. So recently I did my Star-Lord birthday tribute. Of course, Chris Pratt had his birthday a couple days ago, so I did that. I recently posted my third part of the 28 Days Later Aftermath. Just like Cyber, I'm doing a couple of 28 days content. In my shorts, I did already 3 of the reviews of the movies. So I did Days Later, I did Weeks Later, and last Sunday I did my review on 28 Years Later. I saw it Friday, and you can hear my thoughts on those 3 movies. They are great horror films. These movies got me into horror, and so I was very excited to see the third one. You can hear my thoughts on that, or check out my Instagram. I'm doing a bit more now, my ranking and movie reviews. If you want to see more of like writing type, you can go check there. So, and plus I do movie clips. So this month I've been doing Batman Forever and 28 related clips. So that's why you see what you see right there. Plus I did my Batman review. Plus next Sunday I got my next live stream review of Forgiven. So please join us that. And of course you can check out the other ones like me and Jeff did Batman Forever because it's 30th anniversary. So yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It was really fun. I'll see you guys Friday. Of course, Andor episode 10. Yeah, all right.
That is right. We appreciate everybody out there very much. Please follow and rate our podcast. We will see you again on Friday evening for us for Andor episode 10. We hope you'll enjoy that. A lot of guest creators coming out for that, and I'll be moderating that night. So thank you, Cyber. Thank you, Andres. And we'll see you later, folks. Peace.